This is your channel lineup sticker that you can stick on the back of your remotes
Remote
or
control
wherever
or
most convenient
whatever.
for you, so that you know where your channels
Yep.
are. And I know people love these things.
People love them. I know
This is
they
a
ask
new
for
and
them.
improved version.
New and improved, up to date. The good people at MSNBC paid for these
Oh,
and inserted them for us.
Great.
So compliments of MSNBC and CNBC, and that's why they're highlighted in red on here. I do want to say though that for the people who live in the rebuild areas, there is a misprint, and it's a very minor misprint. It lists under pay-per-view request 4 and 5 on channels 57 and 58. They should be 67 and 68. And the reason why that happened is they send these proofs to us by fax.
Right.
And sometimes the fax blurs
Yeah,
and the 5
so you
looks
couldn't
like a
really
6.
see, yeah,
so
it
we
looked
couldn't
fine.
tell, and it looked fine on the proof, and it went through. So please, when you look at this, don't think that now
They changed.
or
It's just a
that
typo.
USA and Weather Channel are sharing time with
Right. It's just a misprint, and that's
with
it.
those
Okay.
two pay-per-views. Those pay-per-views are on 67 and 68.
Okay. Now, guaranteed that those people not watching tonight are going to get this, and
Right.
we'll get calls next
Right.
month.
Now these are in the May 1 and the May 15 cable statements. So only half the people have gotten these so far.
Okay.
There is a message running on the bulletins on Channel 3 when there's no programming on that says there's a misprint.
That there is a misprint.
Yes.
Okay, good. And we've got some other business to take care of as far as
Correct.
rate increases. We have talked about that, and now they're
Right.
going to be coming into effect.
Yes.
So why don't you tell the folks what they are?
Yeah, in the May bill, once again, in the May 1 and May 15 statements, there are inserts alerting customers of an increase in their rates beginning June 1 or June 15, depending on your billing cycle. And we can look at that. What we'll look at tonight, and very briefly, are just the broadcast and the expanded rates for both the rebuild and the non-rebuild areas. And we're going to talk more in depth about this next time. We're back in 2 weeks on the 22nd, and we're going to be live for an hour. And we're going to devote more time to the rates then, because then everyone will have had their insert in their bill, and everyone will have had the chance to digest it and get prepared for questions.
So why don't we just do a quick overview of exactly what type of
Why don't we take a quick look at
increase?
what the increase is going to be. And here we could see,
There we go.
in the rebuild areas, you see the broadcast basic goes up 78 cents, and the expanded basic goes up 99 cents. And in the non-rebuild, the broadcast goes up $1.02, and the expanded goes up 60 cents. And I think the rough math is, when you combine those two together, new rate versus old rate, it's about a 6.4% increase in the rebuild and about 5.95% in the non-rebuild.
Okay.
Some installation charges have gone up too, but when the folks get their insert, they're going to look at it and they're going to see they're quite negligible. Some may be about 6 cents, 5 cents here and there. There will be some changes in the converter pricing, and I want to talk about that next month when we have more time, because it's going to be a little bit complicated in the way we're now going to be charging for converters beginning June 1 and June 15th.
Okay. Now, I know that there's people watching right now, and the first thing they're saying is, why a rate increase?
Right.
So maybe we could explain that just a little.
The number one reason, and we talk about this all the time, is the cost that we pay to programmers. They raise their rates to us. Those are things that unfortunately get passed through.
Right.
They get passed along to the customer. And so when those rates go up, they charge us more. Those are the things that cause rates to go up. There are other things that happen as far as expenses. Maybe the rent here went up, or electric or power or gasoline for the trucks or things like that. All those kinds of things will, those operating costs.
It's basically
will,
just affected by everything else that's
correct,
going up
inflation
everywhere. Right.
and everything else. Now, we think that this is a decent increase. I mean, nobody likes an increase to begin with. Last year we talked about how the increase covered almost 24 months. It went retroactive from June of '95 forward to May of '97, and that was a double-digit increase in percentage-wise.
Right.
Now we're looking at the period of June '97 to May of '98, when we'll have the opportunity to calculate the rates again, 6% is okay. I think. I mean, I don't want to speak for the customers, but 6% is more in line with what's happening economically in the area than.
So this will be the only increase over the next year?
Correct. For broadcast, expanded equipment converters, that is, and installation rates. Now, there may be changes later on to for premium services, maybe HBO will go up or something like that. But that I can't predict and don't know when.
Because you don't know what they're going to do either.
Correct.
Okay. All right, why don't we go to the phones?
Sure.
Because they are building up. And let's see. I don't know, but who's on line one? Hi, you're on the air. What's your name?
Richard in Washington Township.
Hi, Richard. Do you have a question tonight?
Yeah, my question was, I don't understand why TCI locally and nationally decided to stop their rebuild processes. I understand you have a digital product coming out in the future, but now in the meantime you have a cable system where half has a different amount of channels than the other, and different, I assume, equipment on the telephone poles.
Yeah, well, here's the deal. TCI made an announcement last week whereby they are planning to have 90% of their cable systems digital by the end of this year. 90%. I would feel very good about saying that we'd be in that 90 and not in the 10. So the need to rebuild goes away when you can launch digital. The equipment on the phone poles, while it may be different in some areas, it doesn't mean it's inferior. It just means that it doesn't pass as many channels. So the equipment in Washington Township, which only allows 66 some odd channels to go through it, is not inferior. It's good equipment. It just doesn't allow as many channels to pass through it as maybe in Ringwood, where it allows over 70 channels to go through it. Doesn't mean it's inferior. But the expense of doing a rebuild is negated, and the expense of a rebuild is passed on to the customers. So if we were to go ahead and finish the rebuild here, the customer would pay for that.
Right.
Now we're bypassing that need to do that. The customer doesn't pay more, and they have the digital product. They'll pay for the digital product if that's what they want.
So once it goes digital, it won't matter whether they're rebuilt or not?
Well, because you'll have so many more channels on the digital. If you don't get the digital service, if you don't subscribe to the service, and it's called All TV, if you do not choose to subscribe to All TV, you'll get what you have today. If you choose to subscribe to All TV, at launch time, it'll be, I believe, at least 42 more channels. Now, not all of them are expanded basic channels. Some will be multiplexed premium services, and some will be pay-per-view. But there'll be a good strong mix in there.
Okay, good. All right, let's go to Teddy from Hackensack. Hi, Teddy. You're on the air.
How you doing?
Okay, you have a question?
Hey, who's?
Oh man, so you just ring my doorbell.
It sounds like it's chewing your leg
ahead,
off there for
Teddy.
a second. Teddy, you're on the air, and so is your guest and your dog. Teddy, we're going to have to let you go. You got a question?
I'm not here.
What's your question?
Just got better service from you guys in Pizza Hut.
All right.
How come you guys don't have local news?
How come we don't have local news?
The old Vision Cable.
Right.
Channel 10.
Okay. Good question, and I think there's a pretty decent answer. You're familiar with Vision Cable, Time Warner Cable, right?
Yes.
How many towns? Do you realize how many towns they serve?
Yeah, not as much as you guys.
Right, and I think that's the major factor. When our cable system, we serve Alpine, but even if you take Alpine out of there, and we don't mean that as a disparagement towards Alpine, but if you take Alpine away, this cable system begins in Teaneck. That's the easternmost part of Bergen County that we're in. And if you drive on Route 4 west from Teaneck, all the way up here to Oakland on 208, and then get on to 287, you could go all the way to Kinnelon, and you'll only leave TCI territory once when you go through Fairlawn.
Yeah.
That's a lot of area. That's a lot of news to cover, and to do it right, and remote crews and things like that. It just is very expensive, and you don't get the money back. You see that Vision Cable or Time Warner sells commercial spots on their news. Yeah. We would be able to do the same thing, but we don't think that we'd get enough to recover the cost.
Plus, it would be so hard to cover such a distance. When I first started working here, I really wanted us to do that.
Yeah,
and
we all
we had
do.
meetings,
Yeah.
and there were so many times that we
Yep.
wished we could do that. But I know even with us, with different local sports and things like that, when
Correct.
you can't satisfy everybody and do justification to each
Right.
individual town, people feel slighted and they say, well, why did you cover more in this area and than this
Mm-hmm.
area? When you're covering 53 towns, I mean, we would literally need an army of
Yeah.
people
It's-
to be able to do a good, solid newscast that's fair
Yeah.
for all the towns.
Correct. And then you probably aren't able to afford to do other shows like Local Live, like the high school sports
It would be a
talk,
full-time,
like this
full
show.
corral of people.
Yeah.
It would really be a huge
it's really-
undertaking. Unfortunately, I mean, we would love to do it, but
I think the two best answers are, one, the enormity of the task, and two, the cost associated with making that task happen.
right. Okay, Teddy, have a
yeah,
good night,
thanks.
and thanks for calling.
They do a good job, though, at Time Warner, don't they?
Better.
I'm sorry?
Your customer service is 100% better.
Oh,
'Cause
good.
About like a week ago, my converter box went kaput. I called on a Saturday night, and they were here Sunday morning.
Great.
Excellent.
I'm glad to hear that.
All right, thank you again.
Have a
Thanks.
good night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, let's go to Charlie in Hasbrook Heights. Hi, Charlie. You're on the air.
Hiya, how you doing?
Okay. You have a question tonight?
Sure, I got a question probably for both of you, whoever would like to answer it. I've been talking to different cable installers, and that works for TCI, and I guess out of at least 6 out of 6 all seem to tell me the same thing, the difference between the rebuilt and the non-rebuilt. They're telling us that the towns that are rebuilt right now are going to stay that way, and the towns that are not rebuilt, unfortunately, are not going to get built.
Correct.
Is that true?
That is true.
Now, that doesn't seem fair to the people that are living in the towns with the non-rebuilt. Do you agree?
I do and I don't, and the reason why I do agree is that you're not receiving the same amount of channels that they get. The reason why I guess I disagree is twofold. One, the amount of channels, while they get more channels on the rebuild side, the channels that they're getting are many more pay-per-view channels. I think in the non-rebuild there are 2 pay-per-views. In the rebuild there are 5. You know, or 5 or
Right,
6 or
yeah.
7. I think I'm
there's
sorry, I think it's
definitely
7.
More, yeah.
So you have 2 and you have 5 more on the other side. So, you know, that's a lot of pay-per-view. Not everybody orders pay-per-view. So that's really not an advantage. There are about 3 or 4 channels, expanded basic channels, that are in the rebuild that aren't in the non-rebuild. As we talked about before with the first caller, the need to rebuild goes away with the digital product and more programming available digitally. And if that's the case, then why go through the expense and pass the expense through on the rebuild and still launch digital? Because even if we were to finish the rebuild, we'd only add these 5 or 6 more pay-per-view channels and those 3 or 4 more expanded basic channels, and then we'd still be launching digital to give many more channels.
Right. Well, I think people are panicking because here it's been such a long wait. They've
Right.
been waiting for their town to get rebuilt.
Correct.
And when they hear it's not going to be rebuilt, they think that it means they're going
Right.
to get less.
Yeah,
Although the digital will compensate for that.
Correct.
And they will still get all of the things that have been promised, just in a different fashion.
Exactly right. And without the expense. And that expense, now while a lot of people think that it's our expense, that we're saving money, but we save the customer money because the cost of rebuilding gets passed along to the customer. That capital expense is not, free, if you will,
Right.
to the customer.
So it's almost like technology has allowed you to take a shortcut to get to where you're going to begin with without
Right.
having to pass along the expense to the customer.
Correct. If we don't rebuild, if we do rebuild, we still can't add 40 channels at a time like we will with the digital. So if there's still going to be 40 or 50 more channels coming over digital TV in the very short term,
Yeah. Well, I mean, as a cable customer myself, I wouldn't care how you do it, just as long as I get what I want.
right.
However you got to do it technically,
Sure.
it doesn't matter to me. I just want my
Correct.
channels.
Right.
Okay. All right. Let's go to Jim in Midland Park. Hi, Jim. You're on the air.
Hey, how you doing?
Okay. You have a question tonight?
Good. I got 2 questions.
Okay.
First question is, my Uncle Fred Norris in Montclair gets the New Jersey News Channel, and I've seen an advertisement in the papers, but we don't seem to get that.
News 12, New
News
Jersey.
12, New Jersey,
Is
yeah.
that something you're going to offer? or-
At the current time, no, and there's probably 2 very good reasons for that. One is that Cablevision, a competitor of ours, is the owner of that product along with the Star Ledger newspaper. They are the creators and the providers of that product. We on the other hand, are not Cablevision, obviously, and we have a strategic alliance with the Record newspaper to do the programming that we do tonight, just before us, North Jersey 90s and Local Live and things like that. So that's the direction we've chosen to take. In order for us to add News 12 New Jersey at this time, whether it be rebuild or non-rebuild, we'd have to drop something. Whether it be this channel or the local programming on this channel or one of the other channels that we carry. And that's probably not the thing that we're looking to do right now.
I mean, it is Cablevision's news source, just
didn't
like
know
TKR
that.
in Rockland
Yeah.
has their news source, and we wouldn't carry that because they're TKR.
The second question
Yes.
Sure.
I have is I love the Travel Channel. It's one of my favorite channels, and oftentimes I'm in the middle of a program, and next thing I'm interrupted with, Sister.
You're
Rum
up late.
Pudding, and next thing it's into religious programming, and I don't understand that.
You're up late, aren't you? Because
Well, it's on in the morning too. I don't
well,
understand.
it's on from 8 o'clock at night till 7:30 in the morning is Travel Channel. So from 8 p.m. at night till 7:30 in the morning is Travel. From 7:30 a.m. till 8 p.m. is EWTN.
Yep.
And the reason for that, quite simply, is that we don't have enough channels, and we didn't want to drop either one of them.
Right. So it
I
was
mean-
kind of the way to hopefully please two sets of
Exactly
tastes. And once digital happens, that won't hopefully not be an issue.
Well, we're not sure about
Right.
that. We don't know
We'll see what
about
happens.
that, right?
Okay. All right, let's go to Jim from Midland Park. Hi, Jim, you're on the air.
Hello?
No?
That
Okay,
was Jim.
sorry.
All right, let's
that
go
was
to
Jim.
Rose.
He's still in front of me. Okay, Rose from Wayne. Hi, Rose, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
How are you tonight? You have a
Good,
question?
how are you?
Good.
First of all, I'd like to say I live in Wayne. And for all of us people who subscribe to TCI and live in Wayne, I think that the way this whole strike situation and the vandalism that was going on there was really a ripoff for everyone who lives in Wayne. Now, when
Now,
those
why- let
outages
me-
occurred, I called the office and I got credit for 2 days of service. But I know that they were only going to give me one, and I never would have gotten the other one had I not called. The girl that I spoke to on the phone was very nasty. I realized that they are under a lot of stress and that this is not a normal situation. However, I certainly did not come away from the whole thing feeling satisfied. And she also told me that the only way that TCI will not give you credit for outages unless your cable is out for 6 hours. I don't know too many people who work a full-time job and watch TV for 6 hours a day. So I think that's, a little out of line also. But I don't know what the situation with this strike is now. I don't know if
There has been no strike.
But I also think that the way the whole thing was handled was pretty lousy.
There is no strike. Let's make that perfectly clear. So be clear of that there is no strike. What I'd like to say though about the credit is that there's a credit policy established by the state of New Jersey, which they set up as 6 hours or more entitles a person to a 1-day credit. We follow that policy. We would like to have been more lenient on that policy and give credit for every one of the outages that we had. But I consider that, and we consider, the company considers that suicide in a way. Whomever was cutting our cables and has cut our cables has done it for a purpose. And the best purpose we can consider is that it has frustrated our customers, it frustrates us, and in a way it has an economic impact on the company, both on the cost of the repairs and on the cost of credit. We've issued over $126,000 in credit, and before we're done, we may make over $300,000 in permanent repairs to restore all the damage. So if we were to have relaxed that credit policy, we think that we probably would have been cut more often because it would have had an even
'Cause then they know
greater
you have to do that all
economic
the
impact.
time, right.
There is almost a way of thinking that this could be, you know, in a form of guerrilla, you know, terrorist tactics in a way, you know, to have an economic impact on the company. So we felt that it was important for us to stick to the 6-hour credit policy. Now, lots of people didn't like that, and we understand that. But we felt that it was important that we hold to that. When this is all over, and we're hopeful that it's over, we haven't had anything happen since March 20th. We're hoping that it remains that way. Once we have we feel safe that it's all over, I feel confident that we're going to find a way to thank our customers for their patience and appreciate their patronage. But we can't do that until we're certain that this won't be happening again.
Right, right. Because then, you know, you
It
don't
would
want
be
them to
foolish
feel like
to
they
give them
win,
a thank you
whoever it
present
is, yes.
and then have something happen
Sure,
again.
oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's go to Melinda from Elmwood Park. Hi, Melinda, you're on the air.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, how you doing?
I have a very simple question. I was wondering if TCI is going to be getting Nick at Night's TV Land.
TV Land.
And if not, how many people have to call and beg for it?
How many people? The answer is I don't know, and I think that answers both questions. Only because we don't know what's going to be available on the All TV digital service that we've been talking about tonight. That will be coming probably sometime October, November of this year. It may be one of those services in All TV. So that's the answer on whether or not we're going to carry it. The answer on how many people need to call in order to make us to carry it, I don't think there really is an answer. There are a number of services that we know are very popular that we don't carry. One of them being TV Land, another being the Golf Channel, another now being Turner Classic Movies. I think those three are at the top of the hit list right now of the most wanted. A year ago today, we sat here and those three would have been comedy, sci-fi, and history. So we have a pretty good idea of what you folks want, and hopefully they'll be included on All TV.
Okay, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I just had one more question.
Go ahead.
I saw it on Nick at Night. I guess they were doing a special and offering it for a few hours one night, and I was wondering if they'll be doing that again.
For what?
We didn't hear the beginning of your question, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I saw TV Land on Nick at Night.
Oh, yeah, they do that.
Right,
They
yeah.
had a special,
Yeah.
and they showed the shows one night for about, I guess, 6 hours or 5 hours.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed it too. I mean, it definitely looks like it's
They
a great
do it
network.
quite a bit, and they do it for a purpose, to get you to call us
Right.
to say that you want it. And that's a very good way of letting you know what the service is all about. One of the things that made sci-fi so popular amongst non-sci-fi customers is that they're owned by USA Network, and USA Network would constantly cross-promote Sci-Fi Channel
Yes, of course.
on the USA Network.
Right.
USA Network is the highest rated basic cable network. So you have the most eyeballs watching the most commercials for sci-fi.
So
and
you really
everybody says
create
sci-fi,
that need.
sci-fi,
Yes,
sci-fi.
absolutely.
Right.
Okay. Let's go to John in Hackensack. Hi, John, you're on the air. John, are you there?
Oh,
Hello. Hi, John.
Hi, Pat. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's
I was
okay.
distracted for a second.
No problem. Go ahead.
I know you've discussed the TV Guide, not the TV Guide you guys put on Total, but the other TV Guide.
TV Guide magazine.
Correct.
The book.
Right.
I used to call it the Bible in my house.
Okay, it still is kind
Yeah.
of. But what I miss is when you said you were going to take VH1 off the schedule.
They dropped
They
it from
dropped
the grid.
it, right. And
And
they
they've not-
also add like Plex when you guys make changes. You have no way of making sure that like VH1 their schedules in there are Plex.
We try. All we can do is send them the channel lineup changes and hope that they make the changes. Because we're no longer contractually affiliated with them, they do what they want. You know, I'm sure you noticed a while back they had dropped the pay-per-view schedules.
Yes.
And enough people called them and gave them some grief about it. And they backed down, they apologized, and they said that due to reader response, they've added the pay-per-view listing. So I think that's probably what's going to do it, is to have enough people let them know that they're not happy without the VH1 listings.
So it's more up to us. It's up to us customers.
Yeah,
If
I
we-
mean,
make a change, we have to do it ourselves.
Yeah, we've tried our best, but like I said, because we're no longer contractually affiliated with them, they choose to print that TCI of Northern New Jersey book on their own, not because of any relationship we have with them.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, thanks, Dave.
Thanks
for
calling.
Commercials for Pathmark.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, they're new
Thank
spots,
you.
aren't they great?
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
Thanks very
All
much.
right, have a good night.
Okay, you too.
know,
Bye-bye.
talking about those new things that you're doing, and you're everywhere. I mean, and I do this to you all the time.
I know. I get home and I get a message from Dave saying, "Get out of my TV."
Right, and the radio now too.
Yeah, I know.
Some
and now they
radio
gave me a
spots.
husband, Ralph. Did you
You have a
notice that?
husband,
Now I have a
Ralph?
husband named Ralph, and I don't have a husband.
Now,
named
does that go with the add water kids from the the instant drink commercial too?
Oh gosh, it's been a lot of fun. But so, enough about
great.
that.
Yeah.
Let's go to Bill from Hackensack. Hi, Bill. You're on the air.
Hi, how are you guys doing?
Okay, how are you?
Very good, thanks. You guys are very brave, I have to tell you, to just
Thank you.
kind of put yourself on the air and field questions.
But you pay us.
all over the place.
But you pay us, so you're like the boss, and we're just doing our job.
I don't know. I've
that's
never heard a
pretty-
question Dave couldn't handle.
Well, that's good. I hope I don't give you one now. Actually, I have two, and I'm new to Hackensack, and one thing I found out, I came out of Fort Lee where I used Time Warner, and they had the same problem, but I came here. Why is it that when you move into a home or you want to initiate cable, that you just very simply can't target a time for somebody to be home to install the cable?
Oh, we do. We have 2-hour service appointments. They couldn't give you a 2-hour window?
No, because when I called, I got a 4 to 6 hour window.
A 4 to 6. Well, I will say this, and not knowing the exact circumstances, we have a certain amount of quotas that we can take in 2 hours, and then it goes out to 4, because we can only schedule so many jobs. Each technician can only get so many jobs, and they only and depending on the jobs determines on whether or not you can how many you can accomplish in a 2-hour window.
Right.
Others then get 4-hour window and so on. So the 2-hour window sometimes fills up very quickly, obviously, and then we move to the next 4-hour, and then sometimes to all day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's only so many technicians, like I
Right.
said, so that makes sense.
Right.
But I know they do shoot for that. So.
Okay.
All right.
We
Well,
take one more?
no, we are done. Unfortunately,
can't
we are
take
out
any
of
more.
time. If you are on the line, please try us back in 2
The
weeks when we're
22nd.
on live again.
1 hour.
It's
at
going to be 1 hour.
7:30 a.m.
That's
At
right. So
7:30 a.m.
7:30 at
7:30
night.
The breakfast
and so it'll be
edition.
from 7:30 to 8:30. Even though it's going back to an hour for that show,
Right.
it won't be 7 to 8. It'll be 7:30 to 8:30. So
Right.
you'll have a chance to get your phone calls. We're sorry if we didn't take them
Yeah.
tonight, but we will get to you next time.
Right, and maybe I don't know. Maybe if maybe it's like an important episode of Friends or something. Maybe we'll like put it on the monitor behind us,
So they can
people
watch
will
this
still
and
watch.
Friends at the same time.
Right. I was almost thinking about putting the Rangers and Devils on behind us tonight, but I figured that would be too distracting. But we'll find a way of making everybody happy. We'll see you for 1 hour on the 22nd of May at 7:30 p.m. Right?
Yes. Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks for watching.